Hello and welcome back. So we've had a couple of release candidate builds now for iPadOS 26.5, but I think it's safe to say at this point, we know what new features are going to be coming in the next iPadOS update, which is to say, not much. That's not surprising. We're less than a month away from WWDC at the time I record this, so as always, Apple's resources are focused more on the new OS than on the outgoing OS, but we're still getting some nice improvements and refinements. So as always, let's do a walkthrough of what's new. So this UI refinement I actually noticed by accident. So if you have an iPad with Face ID, which unfortunately is still just the iPad Pro, if you try to unlock your iPad and it doesn't work or misses your face, there's now this little face animation that shows up in the center of the screen before the pin pad shows up. In previous versions, it would show nothing and then just dump you to the pin pad, but now you'll get this nice little Face ID face before the pin pad shows up, which I think is a nice little flourish. One of the features that's being reported for iPadOS 26.5 is easier pairing for Apple's Magic accessories for Mac. That would be the Magic Trackpad like I have here, Magic Mouse, and Magic Keyboard. So what's supposed to happen is you plug in your accessory to the iPad, it connects, and automatically creates a Bluetooth connection. It's worked like this on the Mac forever, and now it apparently works that way on the iPad. However, this isn't working for me, and I'm assuming it's because I have the old Lightning accessory. So in theory, if I plug into the iPad, plug the Lightning cable into the trackpad, you'll see on the iPad, hopefully you can see the trackpad's connected, so I've got the pointer here. And then if I go into settings here, you'll see there's no new Bluetooth connections. And if I unplug it, on the Mac, you would see a notification that says your trackpad's connected. I get no such notification here, and the pointer is gone, which means the trackpad's not connected. So assuming the sites that are reporting this are accurate, it looks like this only works for the USB-C versions of these accessories, which is unfortunate for those of us who are hanging on to the Lightning versions, because these things kind of last forever. Kind of a bummer, but in theory, if you have one of the newer accessories, this is a great feature to help you quickly switch between devices with these accessories. This release adds a new Pride wallpaper, which Apple does every year. If you're like me and you're always looking for bright and colorful wallpapers to brighten up your iPad, these are always bangers. And this year, it's actually a little more customizable than it normally is. So let's take a quick peek. We'll bring up the wallpaper picker, scroll down. I've already downloaded these Pride wallpapers, but you may have to if you want to use these, because I don't think they're installed by default anymore. I'm going to pick one of these new ones, these first two. Actually, I'll pick the second one here. If I scroll over, you see there's some different predefined configurations, which are nice. If I go to the end, I can actually choose my own primary color for this wallpaper. Say I want it to be purple. I'm a fan of dark purple. I can kind of customize the wallpaper that way, which I don't think is half bad. Personally, I would probably stick with, actually this one's pretty good too. Personally, I'd probably stick with this one. Set the wallpaper. And hopefully you can see this, but as I move the iPad, you can see the light kind of refracting and shifting as the iPad moves. It's really neat effect, in my humble opinion. And that is this year's Pride wallpaper. There's been a slight tweak to the way you can interact with reminders notifications. So if you remember, when the notification comes up and you want to reschedule it, you can long press it and you'll get some options like remind me in an hour, remind me tomorrow morning, remind me later today. Now for some of these notifications, you'll notice that Apple's giving you an exact time. Instead of it saying just remind me this evening, it now says remind me at 6 p.m., just so it's a little more clear to me when I can expect to see that notification. Unfortunately for us Apple Maps users, 26.5 does bring support for sponsored locations and ads in Apple Maps. This is actually the splash screen you'll see when you launch Maps for the first time in the new update. Now, on the developer website, Apple notes all the usual privacy-preserving things. They're using on-device data. Apple doesn't see where you're going. Your information gets tied to a random identifier. That's all fine and good, and I'm sure that's true. But I just can't help but feel like things like this, which feel completely unnecessary, are slowly kind of chipping away at the more premium feel you used to get from an Apple product. I couldn't find any actual examples of any ads yet being live in the Maps app, so I'm sure we'll be seeing that soon. And I imagine it'll look a lot like the ads in the App Store, so they won't be terribly intrusive, but still kind of sucks. We also get end-to-end encryption with RCS messaging in this update. Now, this is mostly an iPhone feature, but if you're using continuity between your iPhone and iPad, then you can send RCS messages from your iPad. I wasn't able to actually test this, but I imagine the UI is going to look similar to what I have on the screen here, where once this is enabled, you'll see this padlock with the word encrypted next to it to know your messages are encrypted. It's worth noting that both sender and receiver have to be on a carrier that supports encrypted RCS for this to work. And then for a few things I can't really show, Apple continues its efforts to comply with the EU's Digital Markets Act. 26.5 should be adding the ability for third-party wearables to have more access to system data, including notifications. I only ever see this referenced for iOS 26.5, so I'm just kind of guessing this is going to be in iPadOS as well. You have to be in the EU to actually see that, but I'm not 100% sure on that. For developers, if your app offers a 12-month subscription, you'll now be able to offer that same typically discounted yearly pricing, but the user will be able to pay monthly, which is pretty nice. I don't know about you, but I like the discount you usually get with a yearly subscription, but I hate paying for it all up front. So this is a nice alternative. And of course, this release will have the usual smattering of bug fixes and security improvements. Apple does not disclose any of that until the release is public. That's going to do it for this one and what's new in iPadOS 26.5. If I don't talk to you before then, I'll definitely be seeing you in about a month when the first iPadOS 27 developer beta goes live. I'll be ready on day one, and of course we'll have videos covering what's new, so make sure you are subscribed for that. If you made it to the end of the video, thank you. I appreciate you and your time. If you could like the video and subscribe to the channel, that would help me and the channel out a bunch. And with that, I will catch you in the next one. Thanks, and take care.